Hey, hey y'all, hey, how's it going? How are we doing? Happy Christmas Eve. Crazy time. I kind of am loving this because I'm able to kind of get some work done. I don't know why. This feels like the year that I feel like this sense of super self-responsibility of like, I've got to get the word out. I've got to have you guys hear this because I don't know, I'm really hoping that today's lesson, this is part of my special holiday series training. If you don't know me yet, my name is Audra Baker. Thank you guys so much for coming in. And basically, I help you free up what weighs you down. Like I created my Love It to Lose It system. And ultimately, I found that there's so many successful people in their lives, successful women in their lives, where there's aspects of your life that are going really good. Maybe your family life is great, or maybe you've got a great relationship, partnership, or maybe you've got your finances are like stacked, right? Or your career is amazing. Like there's something really great that you can cling to, and you can be like, yeah, man, this is like what I am. This is who I've got. But then it's kind of like, why can't I figure out this whole body thing? Like, what about my body keeps tripping me up? And this can be really painful because it's like everyday challenges of, it's like it's always there, right? You're living in your body every single day. You have to like go in and go, oh my gosh, uncomfortable, want to disconnect, don't like to feel sensations in my body, right? But what that ends up looking like is nothing in your closet fits, and then you're frustrated, right? And you don't feel good inside of your body, and that's actually really awful. And what that can do is just kind of jack with your confidence, like really not feel so great. And I think for me, the worst part was this constant obsession over food, this constant like totally derail me for me personally. And it's not just, oh, I'm obsessing about dessert, or I'm like stuck on sugar, or I'm reaching and clinging for some food or some alcohol or something to make me feel better. But it's also when I was in really healthy mode. Like when I'm just super healthy, there's this other level of obsession. It's like this, oh my God, am I eating the right amount of calories? How healthy is this food? How are my macros? Is this too much fat in this? Does this have enough fat? I shouldn't be eating carbs. How many carbs can I eat? It's an absolute insanity, right? It's this level of obsession. And it really sucks. Mainly the way I feel is that it just makes me so exhausted. It's this horrible kind of like tiredness and exhaustion over something that you're utterly obsessing over. And I think the worst is that like you get to some point where you work so hard, and then at the end of the day, something triggers you, which is what we're going to talk about today during this free training. And you are back to where you started. You've either gained the weight, or you've sabotaged your relationship. You've done something to completely destroy everything, right? And it feels like absolute shit. Thanks for all the hearts. It's kind of how it rolls, right? And so honestly, the part that kills me the most is that, especially working with women and even men, is that they what they do is they see what they see in the mirror, and they go, you know what? The answer is joining a gym. The worst is that they think that joining a gym and going on a diet is the answer, but that's literally like putting a Band-Aid over a gaping wound. Like literally, it is putting a Band-Aid over a gaping wound. Because here, I want to ask you the question. If you are still struggling with the same problems you had last year, and you have them right now, why didn't the diet and the gym work last year? I'm just curious. Why didn't it work last year? And there's a reason for that. It's because there is a deeper healing that needs to happen that has nothing to do with joining a gym or going on a fucking diet. It's just how it works, right? And so this is the time of the year that we can get really, really triggered with this, which is why I'm loving doing these lives right now and helping y'all, because for you to understand that the weight inside of your body, it's just a placeholder. It's a placeholder, right? That is in line in your body, because there is a deeper healing that hasn't happened. There's a deeper emotional release, trauma release, psychic release. And when I say psychic, I mean like a mindset shift, like a mental shift and an emotional shift, like really big shift that needs to happen. That is not, I'm going to grin and bear it. I'm going to go on another diet. I'm going to force myself here. I'm ready to do it. And we're all on the midst. This is literally going to be happening in about a week. In about a week, everybody's going to be making their freaking resolutions to go on another freaking diet, to get the body of their dreams, all of these things. And I'm just telling you, it's a Band-Aid. It's an ultimate Band-Aid. And the worst part of this Band-Aid is that some people really cling to it as the answer, and then they're really sad and frustrated and upset when something else deeper happens in their life, like stress at work, stress inside of relationships, financial stress, you name it, the things that could trigger our utmost, deepest pains and wounds. And then what do? Because we haven't done the bigger, deeper healing, that we just end up right back to where we started. This is why it's a Band-Aid. It's not really the real thing. So you don't want to put a Band-Aid over a bullet hole. I want you to think of these deeper things that you don't maybe have an answer for. You don't exactly know what these things are. Some people really don't. I know I didn't for a really long time. And this is why I'm really hoping this gets into the hands of the right people. So if you are curious about trauma and trauma work, and you want to know more about it, or you're thinking that something about that inside of you really touches you, or you know somebody else who this might really serve, I really hope you share it with them. And honestly, what I'm hoping is that this just lands inside of lands in the hands of the right person, because it's pretty powerful and pretty important, especially this time of the year. If you're just feeling kind of blue and anxious, or there's struggles that you're going through in your life right now, it's legit. These are real. And this time of the year, it really can activate that part of us. It can activate the part that's anxious or heightened emotions or heightened levels of stress, right? For a lot of reasons. I think a big thing is that there's this kind of cloak of the holiday season that everybody's so healthy and happy and the life is just wonderful, and we can talk about Santa Claus and go shopping and give gifts, and there's this shiny part of it all, but it's ultimately not. It's not. It's a cloak, and reality lives underneath it. And for most people, this time of the year creates a lot of dissonance and a lot of pain inside of their body. And I want to honor that and realize that and recognize that and call it what it is. Call a spade, and teach you how to have tools and strategies that you can work through it so that you don't go numb out. I mean, that's what it comes down to. So that you don't go numb out with more food and alcohol and drugs and over shopping and putting even more money on the credit card this year. It's a real painful thing. And so that's what I do. I literally, if you're looking to lose the weight and lose the weight for good and feel like peace in your body and freedom with your body, not for everybody, but for a whole lot of people, the answer is very straightforward. 99% of people, the answer is very straightforward, okay? We have to heal the emotional blocks. We have to look for the things that were blocked in emotionally, okay? We have to expand our capacity to feel our feelings, expand the capacity to feel all levels of emotion. And we have to release old stuck trauma in our body. This is how we do it. That's the umbrella thing. So we have to do these things, but what that means is that we've got to look at trauma, okay? So at this point, really quick, I just want to share with you that this training has been going on for a little bit. So if you're really wanting the nuts and bolts, the absolute nuts and bolts of what to do to start changing your relationship with food, that's not a diet. I want you to go back anywhere you're watching this. You can scroll up wherever you're watching this. If you're watching it on Facebook, if you're looking at this on my my special website page that I put up, doesn't matter where you found this at. Just scroll up to training number 2, holiday training number 2. I give you practicalities, practical things you can start to do immediately that have nothing to do with going on a diet, okay? Very, very powerful stuff, all right? So we're not gonna go over that today. If you are struggling with your mindset, if your brain gets in the way, if you just don't really understand what it means to shift your thoughts so you can start taking action, you want to go look at training number 3. Training number 3, I dive into mindset and step-by-step practicalities of things that you could do, okay? If you're feeling emotionally blocked, if you really want to learn how to feel it to heal it, go into training number 4. And today is training number 5. We're going to dive so deep into understanding trauma, really truly understanding the trauma body and helping you move through it in a meaningful way. okay? So again, I think that this time of the year is so powerful because trauma gets activated this time of the year, okay? We get activated when we're around people that trigger us. We get activated this time of the year because it's so deeply connected to our childhood and childhood memories and childhood experiences and childhood sensations and memories, right? And I think it's really helpful to understand what trauma is because in so many ways, none of us escape childhood without trauma. Not one person on this planet can escape childhood without trauma. So I want to give a solid definition of trauma because a lot of us think of trauma as getting in like an accident, like a wreck or a really bad accident. That's one way that we feel like there's trauma there. And the other way is PTSD. So you're a veteran and so you went to war and so you're holding onto this trauma. What I want to say is that is true. That is trauma and we hold trauma in that way. And it's much bigger than that. And the reason why we know so much about trauma right now and the reason why we have so much research on it and so powerful over since pretty much Vietnam, when the Vietnam's veterans came back and all of these really amazing scientists and doctors and researchers have been doing this research for decades now. And it is so powerful because it's not just veterans coming home from PTSD. It's not just if you were in a really bad accident or something like that, where you have like that physical trauma and the psychological trauma of the accident. It's also not just getting raped, getting bullied, getting beat up, being sexually violated, being sexually molested, all of these, these are the things that people go, yeah, of course, these things happen to me, I have trauma. And I want to honor and recognize that all of these are real, obviously, this is trauma is held in that way. And I'm going to give you another definition of trauma. Another definition of trauma is anything that was a negative past experience that happened in your life, that your nervous system perceived as unsafe and your nervous system became completely overwhelmed, okay? In this regard, this is very important to understand. In so many ways, it is the response that our nervous system has to the negative experience that is happening in the moment, okay? And so when you look at trauma from this level, it changes the story a little bit because and the reason why we get so activated this time of the year is because it can bring about a lot of childhood memories. It can bring about a lot of childhood stories. A lot of people that live far away from their childhood place, they come back to where they're from in their childhood and all of a sudden everything gets activated again, right? It's very, very powerful this way, okay? And so for you to understand that it's often a boundary violation, okay? It's at some point your nervous system has been violated, either physically violated, where somebody is bullying you or hurting you or hitting you or sexually assaulting you or a deep physical boundary violation. It's also an emotional and psychic boundary violation as well. So so you could think of somebody getting bullied in school and maybe they didn't get hit, maybe they didn't even get threatened physical violence, but bullying is one of the biggest psycho-emotional stand back, oh my God, things that can happen to your nervous system. It is for most people, it is an overwhelming experience for the nervous system. Your primal brain wants to keep you safe and alive. Okay. And if it experiences danger, it will set off the fight or flight system in your body, right? That's what the stress response is. It's very powerful for you to fight and get away, or for you to run as fast as you can to get away in any situation. Okay. In any situation. If the situation becomes so overwhelming for your nervous system that it fears that you will not be able to physically get away, run away, or physically fight, to fight and to protect yourself, to protect your physical boundary, your psychic and emotional boundary, then it will go into a freeze response, okay? And a freeze response is where most of us can get stuck in these old patterns because the freeze response is the overwhelming experience of the nervous system. When you can kick your way, when you can fight your way, when you can activate the stress response all the way fully and completely and use your body to get away, to fight away, all of those things, that is actually a really healthy way. And usually you can definitely have remnants of trauma left over from those, but if you at least had that experience, it's definitely positive, okay? If you didn't have that experience and your nervous system went into freeze response, which is so common in childhood, it's very, very common in childhood, and this means that it's kind of trapped and you weren't able to get it to move through the body. You weren't able to use your body in order to actually get all of this through you in order to get to safety, then this is where the freeze pattern happens, okay? So you can imagine if you were a little child, let's say that you innately were not in danger. This is how trauma works. So there's the obvious things that we've talked about, but let's talk about a less obvious traumatic situation. You're a child and you're not old enough to drive. You're very young. You like your family of origin, the people, your caretakers, they become your everything. They are your god and your goddess. They are everything to your small soul and your beingness, right? Your livelihood depends on them. Love, belonging, all of these things depend on them, okay? And so let's say your parents start to get into a big fight and they start screaming and like really going at it, and you're not even involved in it, but you are in the other room or you're witnessing it happen, and it is scary. It is like no joke scary when you are a child, when you are a youngster, okay? It can literally overwhelm the nervous system of a child, and it will form beliefs. It will form beliefs of like not being safe, not feeling loved, not belonging, right? There's all of these things that can happen in the situation. And when you were a child and your parents are screaming at you, what are you going to do? Are you just going to go up to them and start punching them and go, stop fighting, this isn't healthy, this isn't good, blah, blah, blah? Are you going to run away and go, you know what? The two of you are a disaster right now. I don't know what your problem is, but I don't have to see it or be a part of it. So I'm going to create safety for myself and I'm going to leave the situation. I'm going to go to my own car, in my own apartment. I'm going to go to my friend's house. The answer is no, right? Like you're not going to do that if you're a 6-year-old, if you're a 10-year-old, if you're a 3, like it's just not going to happen. Okay? So because you cannot activate your nervous system, the fight or flight, the stress response in a healthy way, then what happens is you get an overwhelm of the nervous system and you get a freeze response. Okay? You can't go anywhere. You're a child. And so what literally ends up happening is that experience gets stuck in the tissues of your body. Now, this is not woo-woo, okay? If you are stuck in a frozen state and your nervous system gets activated, you have all of the chemicals and the hormones cascading through your system in order for you to either fight, or flee. Okay, let me say hi. I'm going to say hi to Beck. Thanks for coming on. Katerina, it's so good to see you here. Thanks, love. Josiah, thank you for coming. Lauren, it's great to see you here. Dad, it's great to see you here. I love it so much. It's easy because my name is Audra Baker and you can see another Baker here, so that's good. I just wanted to take this moment to just say thank you guys for being here. And I hope that we can hear this because we literally hold on to excess weight because it is a safety mechanism. So our primal brain, it's the oldest, most unconscious part of our nervous system. Y'all, its only job is to keep us safe and alive. That is why it exists. It is there. It is every single moment of every day detecting, am I safe? Is this situation safe? Am I walking into this? Is this okay? This isn't okay. Okay, what about that? And if let me start over. If you're experiencing something that activates it, okay? Oh my God, unsafe, boop, boop, boop. This is what it does. And I'll tell you, if it was a physical violation, if there was a physical thing that happened to your body in any instance, in any example, okay, then 9 times out of 10, what your body can do and will do is create a safer boundary by literally expanding your body. Literally expanding your body, whether you like it or not. You are part of the animal kingdom. We like to think we're not part of the animal kingdom. We are fucking a part of the animal kingdom, y'all. And that means that on planet Earth, in the animal world, not always, but most of the time, the bigger animal wins. The animal that has more space and girth wins. And this is, as a human, at a very deep unconscious level, your body's way of keeping you safe, keeping you safer. There's so much research on this. Go Google Brad. Oh, I can't remember his last name. His first name. Oh, Bradshaw. Bradshaw's his last name. He's probably my most favorite public therapist, counselor, psychologist out there. So much of what Brene Brown's work is today, that I watch her talk about, like resiliency and shame and all of this stuff. I've been listening to Bradshaw do this since the 80s. It is so powerful, but you can look, it is so obvious that, oh, good, Deborah Hannon is here too. Good to see you, Deborah. It is so not just obvious, but the research shows that anybody that is holding on to a lot of excess weight, it is a safety mechanism. Your primal brain wants to keep you safe. And so at a deep level, the work is to release this trapped trauma through the body and create safety in the body. Over and over again, safety, 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 so that way the weight gets released. Now, for anybody listening, watching, you're like, great, what the hell does that mean? How do I do it? Okay, so again, trauma and the negative past experience that happened, if you weren't able to fully release physically by punching or running, emotionally by being able to like cry and scream and get the emotions out, psychically and mentally by being able to talk about it to people who normalize the whole situation and don't shame you. You have to heal at all three of these levels: an emotional level, a psychic level, and a body level, a sensation level. Okay, if you aren't able to do that as the trauma has happened or right after, then it literally stays inside of you. Okay, it stays in the tissues of your body. Trauma lives in the body because trauma lives in the oldest part of your nervous system. Okay, the story maybe lives up here. You can wind the story in your cortex, your cortical control, right? And tell the story and relive the story, but the story is relived in the body. The story is relived when you feel the sensations of anxiety, when you feel the sensations of sadness, when you feel the sensations of overwhelm, when you start to feel anger or rage or fear or any of these other things that feel awful inside of your body. It is a reliving. A lot of my clients will feel like an empty feeling, which is one of the reasons why they want to go eat, because they want to be filled up. Okay, this was a big one for me. It was this kind of like empty hole kind of feeling that I had for a long time. And then I would just like eat. Like food became like a salvation for me, and I would just binge and just like stuff it down and stuff it down and stuff it down until I wouldn't feel anymore, right? Because we don't want to feel those feelings. The nervous system is like those feelings: danger, danger, danger. I remember that from so long ago, and so I'm going to go do something else to numb out. I'm going to go do something else to not feel. And so it doesn't actually help the problem. It becomes a Band-Aid, right? So eating to make yourself feel better, drinking to make yourself feel better, smoking pot to make yourself feel better, those are Band-Aids. Those aren't actually going to help really go to the core of the wounding in order to have the healing that you're looking for, that you're really craving and wanting, okay? So numbing out doesn't help the situation. The other thing, I mean, like with the whole diet and exercise, it really is a Band-Aid. It might feel good, and trust me, it's important. We all need to be eating healthy. We all need to fucking be exercising. Up to, it's not that you shouldn't be doing that, but it's when you think it's the answer, and when you think it's the only answer, that is the bigger problem. Sometimes exercising and watching what you're eating, it can feel very empowering, right? It's why you do it. But also, if there is the deeper core wounding underneath, which it is for most people, and how do I know? Because you've been stuck in the same situation for a year, for 2 years, for a decade, for 2 decades, for a lifetime. That's how you know it's deeper than what a fucking diet or exercise could do for you, okay? That's how you know, okay? And so, I mean, I work a lot like with women who need to lose weight, who want to lose weight, they're ready to lose weight, and they're ready to do it in a way that doesn't count calories and count points and like some diet that's impossible to follow. I'm sorry, anybody that's on keto and you think you could live it for the rest of your life, good luck. I don't know, now you're on a diet that you're going to quit in 30 days or 90 days or whatever. And then you're going to just go back as soon as something else happens inside of you that triggers those old traumas. So big, so big. So what we have to do with trauma and what we need to understand is that it is created inside of relationships. Okay, most of it is created in most trauma, I should say. I need to be careful here. Is created inside relationships. Like obviously, if you're driving down the road and somebody collisions you and your whole body has like the physical trauma of a wreck, right? That is not necessarily in relationship, but most of the psycho-emotional trauma and even physical trauma that we have happened to us, especially in childhood, it happens inside relationship. So one of the key components to healing is to heal inside relationships. So for instance, with my women that I work with my crew that I work with, when it comes to weight loss, we have a tribe. We come together as a tribe. We talk about these things. We have a safe place to have communication and really go there and see what's going on and go in a little deeper and do these deeper healing work. Okay. So that's one part of it. Okay. Healing happens in relationship. Number 2 is that the true removal of old past trauma happens through the body. And the reason I say this is that there's so much evidence that talk therapy and talking about it, all it does is it wraps it around your head. You think about it, you talk about it, you think, and then at the end of talking about it, like with a good friend, it feels good for a second, but the trauma still actually lives inside of you because it doesn't live in the story in your head. It literally lives in the tissues of your body. And the way that you have to release it is through the tissues of your body. Okay? So, one of the most powerful and profound ways that I have discovered that I use with my clients, that I use in workshops that I run, that I use in retreats that I run, is breath work. And breath work is an incredibly powerful tool. It's an incredibly powerful integrative tool in order to help your entire body, mind, consciousness, just feel more integrated. Okay? And I want to give you just an example that I've experienced in my own life, because when I would think back to memories of my childhood or this or that or whatever, I'm like, okay, just like any other kid, there's some good, there's some bad, what are you going to do, right? But it was only when I got in relationships with intimate partnerships that all of a sudden I would start binge eating, I would start overeating, I would want to just go out and drink, or I'd want to go smoke pot, I'd want to go do all these things to not feel the things that I was feeling. And that was a sign. So even though I didn't have a story behind it, I knew that by me not wanting to feel whatever it is was underneath, that I was numbing out, I was using substances or whatever and food to numb out, that was kind of key indicator number 1. And the fact that I couldn't just figure out how to fix it. I'll just stop eating junk food and stop smoking weed and stop drinking, then I'm done. That didn't actually, I could do it for a little bit. I wouldn't say the alcohol and the pot was actually, I don't really hardly do any of that. I feel pretty neutral about that, especially now. But food, why is it that I can go, okay, well, now I know that that's what's going on, I'm just going to get rid of it. Well, I couldn't just stop. I would be okay for a while and then I go back. This is why you can see on my website everywhere, I talk about gaining and losing 40 pounds 40 times. I mean, it was literally my story forever. And it was on purpose because I would think that I would be able to control it by just, saying no. And that's not how it works. It's just not how it works. Okay. And so, oh, Jerry, thank you, love. Thank you. Miss you, sweetie, miss seeing you. And so that was my indicator. But what I want to say is I didn't actually, I had stories with my trauma, but what happens usually when we go into that freeze mode, remember it's fight or flight, right? That's actually really positive. But if the nervous system gets really overwhelmed, you go into freeze response, okay? And freeze response will have a dissociative pattern existed to it. The freeze happens so you don't feel whatever may or may not be going on with you, whatever negative experience your nervous system perceives, you cannot handle it, so it dissociates you from it, so you don't actually feel it. And part of that whole process is not even remembering or understanding or even having any sensational quality attached to it, okay? So I guess the reason why this is so important is that when it does that, what it's literally doing is separating you from the sensations and the feelings, okay? And so then when you get triggered again and all of a sudden these sensations come up, and instead of feeling them, your nervous system immediately goes too scary, too much, and it will knock you out. And the way that it will knock you out is the way that you have learned how to not feel. So for me, it was food. For a lot of people, it's alcohol. For other people, it's drugs. For some people, it's pulling out the credit cards and overspending more than they ever should be spending, right? Like, you name it. We all have our way. But if you're really, truly wanting and ready to release this, then when you start to feel the feelings, and where do you feel the feelings? In your body. There is a sensational quality to anxiety. There are sensational qualities to depression, to overwhelm, to stress. Like, these are feelings that happen in your body. And the way that we can move through it is to feel these feelings, to stay with them. And here is the best part ever. And this is the part that has helped me so much, because there's so much that I didn't have access to. I'm like, I don't know why I'm doing this. I don't know where my trauma comes from. Where's the story, right? And I've got some stories I can share about trauma that I definitely now know is like, oh yeah, that was pretty fucking dramatic. That's not cool. Like, we got to look at those kinds of things, right? But what I want to say is that as I was going through all of these processes and learning this stuff, I learned that you can heal and remove this trauma without having to have the story. You can move it through your body. You can release it through your body without having to have the story. It is so powerful when you can just connect into your sensations. And this is when I work with my clients on just feeling the sensations in their body and breathing through it, staying with it and breathing through it, and learning how to create safety in their own body in the moment. Because what happens is, let's say you feel the thing and then you don't want to feel it, so you go reach for food, okay? Food becomes the safety. Instead of an inner reservoir of safety, I'm going to be okay. I can feel these feelings in my body and I'm not going to die. I can experience these sensations and I'm going to be okay. I can go through this. I don't have to go drink. It's uncomfortable. Yeah, I feel discomfort. I can feel all this discomfort, and I don't have to go eat. I don't have to go drink. I don't have to drug. I don't have to go spend money. I don't have to blame my whole problems on everybody else, because that's another way that we deflect. Instead of like looking at our own problems and feeling whatever it is we need to feel, we go blame everything that we're feeling on somebody else. I don't have to do any of that. This is advanced though. This is hard work. And I'll tell you, nobody is doing this. And when you can release trauma at this level, it literally releases through the body. You are literally able to train and teach your nervous system safety over and over again. And the more your nervous system gets trained to safety, the level of being able to release weight, it starts to happen. It's very, very, very powerful. Now, I do think that this happens the fastest when you have a coach, when you have a community, when you have people on your side helping you do this. I have not seen real, true, deep trauma release happen outside of a therapeutic process, a therapeutic container. That doesn't mean that you can't. I have breathwork practices that you can just do at home, and you can just hold yourself and go through the process. And the beauty is that you can practice, and I'll just do this as a one thing that I'm going to recommend everybody try. Well, not everybody. We've got to be really careful. If you are struggling, if you have bipolar, if you are dealing with, let me give all of the contraindicators. All the contraindicators. So, not pregnant, don't have epilepsy, no detached retina, glaucoma. If you have uncontrolled high blood pressure, it's not controlled, or cardiovascular disease or any type of irregularity. If you've been diagnosed by a medical professional to have manic disorder, bipolar or schizophrenia, strokes, seizures, or any other kind of like brain neuronal condition or disease, you shouldn't actually do breath work at all. You could go real slow under the care and guidance of a practitioner, but other than that, those are kind of the things. As long as you ain't struggling with that, then we can really get some good work done. And breath work, what you want to do is you want to pick some songs that like drop you down. So think yoga, don't think like rock and roll. Think like songs without words. You can go on my Spotify and you can follow me on Spotify. I have lots of playlists. And you want to pick like 4 songs or 5 songs, something like that. So something that lasts like somewhere between 10 and 20 minutes. Mitzi, good to see you. Good to see you here, Mitzi. And then you start the breathing by focusing on the sensations in your body. So you feel into what the sensations are in your body, and then you say the sensations out loud. So what you're doing is when you feel into the sensations, let me say hi to Jennifer. Good to see you, Jennifer. When you feel into the sensations of your body, what you're doing is you're directly connecting to your primal brain. You're connecting to the oldest part of your nervous system when you tap in and notice sensations in your body, okay? Expansive, contractive, dull, aching, sharp, hot, cold, pressure, bubbles, butterflies, right? Those are literal sensations we can feel in our body. There's so many, right? And so first you do is you connect to the sensation, which connects you to the unconscious part of your nervous system, and then you say it out loud. When you say it out loud, it connects you to your cortical. So now we're connecting back brain unconscious part with front brain saying it out loud. This is a very powerful way to connect neuronal patterning in your brain. How cool is that? Even if you're not going to do the breathwork part, if you just do that, connect to the sensation. And I'm going to tell you, if you DM me, send me a list of sensations and emotions, I will send you an entire page and you will start to educate yourself on a whole new vocabulary. It's so powerful. So just send me a message and go, dude, I want in on that. I want to know what are these other, how can I know what these sensations are? What are different words that I can use for sensations and different words I can use for emotions and how to express them? Because having that connection, step 1, baby. The next step is knowing that you're going to be okay. So really resourcing your body and resourcing your environment. So noticing that you're not at war, but you're in your bedroom and it's safe and you can lock your door. Noticing that nobody's going to barge in on you and hurt you. So like really recognizing the safety of your environment, and then going in and recognizing the safety in your body. Where in your body do you feel safety? And I know this sounds strange, but think about this. If you're feeling anxiety, like I don't know about you, but when I feel anxiety, I have tightness in my chest and I get a knot in my stomach and I feel like this kind of like jittery, right, in my arms. So the tightness in my chest and my stomach and the jittery in my arms are not the safe places in my body in that moment. But if I really just tap in, if I'm feeling anxiety, I don't actually feel any anxiety right now, but let me just feel safety. The place I feel safety, like at the sense of resource where it feels good and calm in my body, is actually my pelvis right now. Like in this moment, it's not always that, but in this moment, my pelvis and my hips. Like I actually feel real safe. I feel really grounded there. I can like feel into that part of my body and be like, feels good, right? So that's the other part. So you want to be able to find a place where you can always go in your body for safety, for safety, for safety, for safety. And then the breathwork process is open mouth. I'm kind of doing like Darth Vader breathing because I want you to hear it, but you don't have to do Darth Vader breathing. It doesn't have to be so loud. But you want a relaxed jaw, you want an open mouth, and you want the inhale to go to the top, and then you don't pause. You don't go, you don't do that. You go, see how it's connected? You just connect it. You can go, the slower you go, the less awkward and painful it'll feel, because this type of breathing can be very activating, and that's okay. You kind of want to be activated, but the slower you go, it just kind of eases you in. It doesn't have to be fast and jarring. It doesn't have to be. But if you just kind of ease yourself into it and put a playlist on, so you lay down in a place that's very comfortable, and you can start sitting up where you can kind of learn to move your body with it, and you can start to breathe and you can sound. But the most important thing is that you connect to your sensations and say them out loud. Step 1. Step 2, find the part in your body that feels like a resource. Because if you do this breathing, emotions might come up and sensations might come up and things might, you have a thing, and you want to have a place that you can always access that feels safe in your body. Okay, so that's two. You have the resource, right? And you are connecting the sensations in your body and you're saying them out loud. And then the connected breath is the third part. Through the mouth breathing, connected breath. And so your commitment is staying on top of the breath. You don't let you just let it go. You just keep going with it. And it's kind of like going on a ride. It's like going on a train where you're going back into the body the whole time you're breathing, and you're going, what sensation am I feeling now? What am I feeling now? What am I feeling now? What's the sensation now? And this is literally how we start to work through old past trauma, old sensations that are living in the body. It is so powerful. It is so therapeutic because you don't have to have the story. You just don't have to. You can if you want. It's totally unnecessary. Okay? So, I'm actually love taking and guiding my clients through this, especially as a part of like overall, like what they're really wanting for and looking for their life. So weight loss. So for instance, most of my clients come, they want to lose weight. Well, we need to figure out what's going on in their head. What are the mindset things? You're not stuck in a body you don't love or a body that's overweight and holding on to excess weight. You are not stuck in that body because you don't know what to eat. Come on. It is pretty, we all have some clear understanding and idea of what is a healthy thing to eat, what is not. That is not your problem. You do not need another point system counting thing. You do not need another diet. You know that shit, okay? If you are not living in a body that feels comfortable, that feels like your body, that feels like the right sized body, there's other stuff going on, and that's what we need to get to the bottom of, okay? Now, with that said, I also am working with clients right now. It's kind of fun. I'm like, these people are that have no problem with weight. Their body's great. They take really good care of it. They eat healthy, they exercise, they do the things. They don't food is not their thing. Food is not their problem. And what I want to say though is they are still blocked. They have emotional blocks, they have psychological blocks, they have these old traumas, these old wounds from a long time ago that are stuck in their body, and they're causing havoc in other ways. It might not be showing up as expansion in their body, right? But it's showing up in failed relationships. It's showing up by refusing to put themselves out there to date. It's showing up by not feeling connected to people. It's showing up by pulling away from the people who love them and isolating, right? It shows up by them running a business and not ever making money. It shows up by them wanting to show up in the world, but then too scared to show their face, right? There's so many ways that this old trauma shit shows up, okay? And so this is a very, very powerful way to shift this and change this. So if you came on late, good to see you, Jennifer. Good to see you, Mitzi and Mark. If you came in late, you can go back and rewind. Very, very powerful. And again, for the last part, I just want you to hear man, I get it. This time of the year can be really intense and really stressful, and it can bring shit up. And this is the way. This is the way to start to literally shift and change and transform from the inside out. Not having some thing pushed at you or some new supplement or some new diet or some new freaking workout equipment. Those things should be icing on the cake. They shouldn't be the cake. All right, we've got to go in and look at how we can heal at a deeper, more profound level. And these are literally the tools. If you want more emotional help, like being able to feel your feelings in a bigger way, go back and watch training number 4, okay? If it's mindset that feels like you're getting stuck and oh, damn it, what the fuck, what's wrong with me? Why can't I stop this negative self-talk and this drama? Go back and listen to number 3. Wherever you're watching, scroll up and you'll see the next one, okay? And I really hope that this served the right people. I hope this landed in the right person's lap to hear this. It's very powerful. And if you want to continue the conversation, I highly recommend it. Send me a DM, reach out and go, hey, Audrey, that was great. Thanks for letting me know that. And just tell me what's going on. And I'd love to start a conversation with you guys, okay? Mwah. Happy day before. Oh my God, it's crazy around here. That's why I'm running so late today. But I wanted to say thank you. Love being here, and I love sharing this expertise with you. I love sharing. I just love sharing powerful transformation. This is. I like really get off on it. This is my life, and so that's me. And thank you guys so much for coming on. Loving you so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye.